The Legend of Arsene Lupin, Gentleman Thief, is a tale that has been heard by most, but the truth known only by a few. Opinions are divisive, a playful swindler or a hardened career criminal. One thing that cannot be argued, the excitement of Arsene Lupin and his antics are unrivaled.
They're just paranoid, as if Lupin's going to get anywhere near this place.
I know you keep saying it's an impenetrable fortress, but you've heard the stories.
Don't worry, it's an easy gig. We got our posts, and that egg stays safe and sound.
Gentlemen,
An impossible undertaking for most, a walk in the park for Arsene Lupin. He was triumphant over the trials that had stood before him, but it was only with careful planning and execution that he could make every task look so simple.
aha. Heh.
Now, a combination was all that stood between him and his prize. The combination had to be somewhere. Would they have trusted the now unconscious guards with such important information?
Oh.
A quick rummage, and he had what he required. Oh, 09.
Huh.
8. The terrified owners only trusted each guard with half the combination. Before he tackled the colossal vault door that blocked his path, he took a moment to remind himself of why he was there.
Huh?
The vault stood open like a cookie jar, just waiting for him to reach in.
Huh.
Carefully, now was not the time to stray from the path.
Huh.
Curses locked. But for every door, there is a key.
Oh.
Curses locked.
Oh. Heh. Aha. Oh.
Curses, locked. Hey, presto! Just a few more steps.
Oh.
A steady hand and...
Huh.
Of course, it was not the obvious that he was seeking. There was a more valuable prize inside.
Oh. Huh?
In all its beauty, the Black Pearl, what he had really been chasing for so long. All that was left to do was escape. A simple task after the gauntlet of obstacles he had just championed until the alarm.
If an alarm is required, let me guess, you read that in the newspaper. They also said I ran around in a top hat and cloak. When have you ever seen that?
A little exaggeration never hurt, but it's your story to tell, if you have a different version of events.
If you want the real truth, we'll have to go back further still. Let me tell you about a young man, Bernard d'Andrézy, his investigation and how it led to my arrest. On the second day, at a distance of 500 miles from the French coast, in the midst of a violent storm, a wireless telegraph message was received. Arsene Lupin is on your vessel. First cabin, blonde hair, wound right forearm. Traveling alone under the name Red. The telegram was cut short, but by the next morning the whole ship had heard of Arsene Lupin's presence, and the deck was alive with gossip and rumors.
Can you believe it? Arsene Lupin stowed on board. I heard he once dressed as a Spanish bullfighter and a Russian physician.
Arsene Lupin, the man of 1,000 disguises. If what the newspapers say are true, he could be disguised as anyone.
Apparently, he's traveling under the name R. But before anyone says anything, it's not Roseanne.
The waiter at breakfast told Miss Underdown and I that he had snuck on in the dead of night in a rubber life raft.
Can you imagine it? Daring, dangerous. It's like something out of a storybook. Don't you think, Miss Underdown?
Not a book I'd read, but I can see why there might be excitement around him.
Should we be worried? I have valuables on board and the things I've heard about that man.
You've got nothing to worry about. But Miss Underdown, if you feel nervous...
Miss Gerland and I shall both be fine.
Wouldn't it be exciting if I could get a photograph of the famous Arsene Lupin?
It would certainly be some feat, as you said. A man of 1,000 disguises.
No, it wouldn't. As soon as he is caught, he'll be behind bars, where he belongs. Hey, you. Come here a second.
Bernard d'Andrézy. How do you do, Monsieur Rosen?
I see my reputation precedes me.
You did just say your name.
Oh, yes. I'll get right to the point. Miss Underdown. We're both warm-blooded males. There's nothing wrong with a little healthy competition, right, Benny?
It's Bernard. I wonder if I could ask you a question?
The dining hall is past the cabins.
I was more interested in the ship's unwanted guest.
If he's not fleeing from one job, he's probably moving on to the next. Maybe his target's on board.
You think he's here to rob someone? Would he really go all the way to America just for that?
From what I've heard, he's prepared to do anything to get what he wants.
There's plenty of guests on board that would be the perfect target for him. Who's got the most to lose?
I told you to keep it to yourself.
But you know how gossip travels. It was always going to get out.
I wanted control, how and when. What are we going to do?
Post someone on the stairs guard in the storage room. And another guard in the crew quarters.
Yes, that sounds like a good idea. Get to it then.
Excuse me, miss.
Oh, you gave me an awful fright.
That's expected with Arsene Lupin on board. Allow me to introduce myself. Bernard d'Andrézy.
Lady Gerland, how do you do? A cryptic telegram comes through saying a blonde man wants to steal all our belongings, and we're supposed to remain calm.
I'm not exactly sure that's what the telegram implied.
Maybe that's because you don't have as much to lose. You mean besides how he's spent his life as a criminal, stealing people's hard-earned money? I've never heard Father say one good thing about him.
From what I've heard, he doesn't care what people say about him, just that they're saying something at all.
And what does that say about him?
Excuse me, Miss Underdown?
The excited man with the camera.
That's me, Bernard Andrézy. But just Bernard is fine.
Just Bernard. What can I do for you? I'm traveling to see my father while he's on business with my dear friend, Lady Jerland.
I've actually just spoken to her on the deck. She has some strong opinions about Arsène Lupin.
I'm sure you won't be surprised to find I feel the same.
I'm hardly surprised with what newspapers say.
Is there a reason you're so preoccupied with my family?
I was just trying to... ignore me. That is what is called an overstep. I should take this moment.
We're all on this ship to relax, and having him on board has changed everything.
Only if you let it.
I suppose you're right. Thank you. Now, I have a question for you. What brought you on this voyage across the Atlantic?
My work. I'm a photojournalist, or at least trying to be.
That would explain the camera.
It wasn't my initial plan. But if I could get a shot of Arsène Lupin, it would do wonders for my career.
Go on.
What would you say to you and I trying to find Lupin ourselves? An exciting notion, don't you think?
Exciting would be one word.
You don't want him to ruin your trip. And if we don't do something, who will?
I wouldn't usually be so easily persuaded. Where would we even start? What do we know about Arsène Lupin?
We don't know how he did it, but it shouldn't be too hard to spot. We should look for someone with an injured arm. He's a master of disguise, but we can only work with what information we have. We should look for someone with blonde hair. I imagine there are a number of guests on board with that initial. We should try and narrow the list down.
Very astute, Monsieur d'Andrézy. Bernard. Anyone would think this isn't your first investigation.
There are many things you still have to learn about me. Monsieur Rosen!
Really? The gentleman from the deck?
Arsène Lupin is known as a master of disguise.
Don't hold me in suspense.
Do you think you could keep Monsieur Rosen distracted while I search his cabin for evidence?
And what am I to say to him?
Just be your ever-enchanting self.
That I can do.
Ah,